Sam.
Hi, Rebecca.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
How are you?
Okay. Just double checking. I'm only going to let the students in for now. Patrick Nja, anybody know him? No? Okay, so then it's just an attendee early, that's fine. Just want to give us a little bit of time while people, just to go through it, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to, okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the start video. So you will only be able to turn your camera on and off when I make you a co-host from now on out. Just so I don't forget to do that, okay? All right. All right, for the students who have joined, it looks like there's a bunch of Leeds Beckett folks. I'm gonna start making you guys co-hosts. And just keep you'll be able to turn on and off your camera. Yep. All right, good. All right, for the Leeds Beckett folks that are on right now, just making sure getting everybody in. Let's just test that all of you are co-hosts and you can turn on and off your cameras and your mics.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can as well.
Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah,
all right.
So unfortunately, I'm trying to get the background and I can't understand how to apply the background.
So if you
Yes.
try, Yeah, up in Zoom, and you can go to preferences in the upper navigation. I'm on a Mac, so if you're on a PC, sometimes it's different. Hey, Don,
Hi.
how are you? So I'm going to make you and Nate co-hosts, which means you're allowed to control your camera on and off,
Okay, good.
right? And the script I sent, it says like, hey, Don, turn off your mic and camera,
Yeah.
right? All that stuff.
I got all that. I'm just trying to get a background.
Yep,
Instead of
no
this.
problem. All right. All right.
There we go.
Okay. Hey, for the Leeds Beckett folks, can you double check your list and make sure all 13 of you are here? I only see 11, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we just had all of us in a Teams meeting, so they should all be coming across right now, but we'll make sure.
Okay, it
Yeah,
looks like maybe Mohammed isn't here yet. And Hunad Awan. I don't see Hunad
I
yet.
think we only have 11 people speaking. I think.
Oh,
two
only
of the
11
boys-
people speaking?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think 2 of the boys aren't turning up.
okay, all right, well then we're good.
Sorry, still in preferences. I'm on the part where you select a background and there isn't an option to upload your own. It just has a selection of 4. And I've looked on Google and on different platforms, there's a plus icon.
Yeah, and you don't have a plus?
No. So
Okay,
yeah.
it's okay. I can see your face, I can hear you, so I think we're good. Yeah, Luke, my colleague's computer does that. What yours is doing when you try to do the virtual, it gets a lot of, some people just can't do it for.
Yeah, I'm trying to add the actual PNG. I can add the one that you've got on, but I can't seem to add the brick one for some reason. But yeah, I don't think I think it's acting as if I have a green screen, but my Mac isn't either updated or isn't new enough
Okay,
to do it.
okay. All right.
Oops.
There you go.
It's
All right.
reversed though. Here we go.
Looks good to me. Yeah,
You see it frontwards?
yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. All right then.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try my share screen just to make sure it works.
Yep.
Right,
Yep. There we go.
all right. Okay,
Right. And I'm going to just mute my.
yeah, okay.
Rebecca, should I hide myself view for?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm gonna hide myself until we get started. Gonna give us a few more minutes. I think we've got all the students, yep. And Nate's not here yet, but he'll be here soon. How was the program with CCP students? Oh, Don, you weren't on that. Yeah.
I
Neither
wasn't.
was I. Working through all this.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm all set to, okay. I'm
Okay.
ready whenever.
All right, I'm gonna. Nope, I want to go back to here. Yeah. Okay.
Rebecca, I'm stepping away for just a minute, but I'll be back.
All right. Do you want to turn off your video for now? Yep. Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Are you a co-host, Jermaine?
I don't know. Did you? Okay, maybe that's why I'm in here already, because I'm a co-host, right?
No, you're not. Because it says may co-host. So I don't know why you're not muted.
Am I a co-host, Rebecca?
No.
Because I just unmuted mine as well.
Okay. Well, I'll just make sure everybody knows to mute themselves.
Yeah.
But I think we can go ahead and I'm going to pop on. So
I
can
can't do
handle that.
video, so that's good.
What?
We can't do video.
Okay.
It's just the muting.
Okay. Hey, Nate, I made you a co-host, which that means you can turn on and off your camera, but you want to just leave it off for now. Cool.
So Nate, how was the Q&A?
It was actually really good, and the students were so engaged. Their eyes were just glued and wide open. It was amazing. So she's absolutely was incredible, and they had great questions.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and let folks in. Jermaine and Liz, can you do that?
So I can't.
You can't. Okay. I'm going to make you a co-host then.
Yeah, I don't see the waiting room. Like, I don't know how to
Okay.
get there.
All right. Yep. All right. You should be able to do that now.
Both of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I can see it now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. As you're coming in, you shouldn't be able to turn on your cameras as of yet. If you can toggle your mutes, please stay muted. And thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to get started in a little bit. I wish we had some good music or something. It's sort of awkwardly silent. For those of you who have just joined us, we're just give us a moment. Thank you for being here, and we're going to get started in just a few minutes.
Maybe someone can sing.
What's up, Jermaine?
I said maybe someone can sing. I was just being.
Oh, not me. I mean, you do a good Frank Sinatra, so maybe. All right.
For everyone who is here, just change your name to make sure that that it's the full name that you registered under.
Be nice if you could see a clock.
I know. Something.
What were these Zoom people thinking?
I know. Uh, Stop hitting my screen. It moves every time. Sorry. Okay. Just a few more minutes, folks, that are coming in. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm really excited about the program. Sorry there's not better music or entertainment as we wait, but thank you for your patience and thanks again for joining us. All right, just a few more people. Let everyone in and we're going to get started. Let's see. All right, we're going to get started. Hold on just a sec. All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Johnson. I'm Executive Director of the Center for Architecture and Design and AIA Philadelphia. Thank you very much to our 15th annual Edmund N. Bacon Urban Design Awards. Each year we celebrate the accomplishments of an individual who has made significant contributions to the field of urban planning, development, and design. In honor of our award's namesake, Ed Bacon. This year, we are excited to honor Dr. Mindy Thompson Fullilove, MD, LFA-PA, honorary AIA, who is a social psychiatrist and professor of urban policy and health at the New School. We also recognize visionary ideas for the future of Philadelphia's built environment from the winners of our student design competition. You'll hear their winning concepts and hear from the students who designed them shortly. I'd like to start tonight with a few thank yous. First, thank you to the full board of the Center for Architecture and Design, and thank you to all the committed members of the Edmund N. Bacon Memorial Committee, especially our co-chairs, Nate Hummel and Don Jones, who will speak in a minute. We're always honored to have the support of Ed Bacon's family. Thank you especially to his daughter, Hilda Bacon, who serves as a steadfast advisor and supporter to this program. Thank you to Hilda and your entire family for your continued support of this program, encouraging students to think big and have ideas about the future of this city. We're so very proud to honor your father's legacy. I also want to thank our sponsors this evening. We couldn't host this event without our sponsors. We're very pleased to thank our visionary sponsors this year, the Bacon family, Centria. Thank you especially to Rob Sterling for 10 years of support. Thank you to Kieran Timberlake. For our gold sponsors, MIS Capital, Milburn Makers, Plusitis and Sadin, Langen Engineering, and the Philadelphia Phillies. And to our silver sponsors, thank you very much to O'Donnell Nacarado, Bittenbender Construction, Ewing Cole, LKR, Looney Rixkiss, Panoni, VSBA, Scanapico Development Corporation, and U3 Advisors. And our bronze sponsors, thank you so much to Scout, Keystone Hood, and Ballinger. And our media partner this year, WHYY. Thank you very much, all of you, for your support. It's really important to support organizations and nonprofits that do this work especially when we can't all get together and network, which is always the best part of these types of events. So we really deeply appreciate your support. I also want to thank our supporters this year. We usually have a really fun party, VIP reception beforehand, and that was just not in the cards this year, nor was it really felt like as appropriate to do something. So we appreciate the supporters, everybody's name here, for supporting this year's Bacon program. Especially, it included a special Q&A session with Dr. Fullilove and students from the Community College of Philadelphia just prior to this event. So thank you very much to Paula Behrens and Betsy Masters at CCP for coordinating, and thank you to our committee and to Dr. Fullilove for spending some time with the students in the architecture program at the Community College of Philadelphia. Thank you to Alan Jacobson, Alexa Bossi, Don Jones, Doug Schaller, Betsy Masters, Alyssa Kane, Greg Heller, Diana Lynn, Joe Trainer, Kelly Verslavic, Mike Spain, Robert Schumann, Tom Normile, Taya Wynn, and Bill McDowell. Thank you all so much for your support. We're also excited to welcome the jurors and the winning team members from our 2021 student design competition. I really want to thank the student winners for joining us tonight. We've been working with them over the past week and a half on their presentations. They're powerful and short, and that's not always easy to do. So I really kudos to them. I think you're going to be impressed with their presentations. And I want to thank again all of you for joining us. Your presence demonstrates the value of creative space thinking in our urban places and shared civic resources, especially in a virtual event. So now I'd like to welcome to the stage Nate Hummel and Don Jones, co-chairs of the Ed Bacon Memorial. Nate, you're up next. Thanks.
Great. So good evening, everyone. I'm Nate Hummel. As you, I'm sorry. All right, am I good?
There
Okay, there's my screen. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Nate Hummel. And as you now know, this program is named in honor of Ed Bacon, who was the first executive director of the Philadelphia City Planning Commission from 1949 to 1970. Bacon was one of the United States' most important and famous urban planners in the mid-20th century, a time of really great upheaval in America's cities. During Bacon's tenure, Philadelphia and other urban centers around the nation lost residents and businesses to the developing suburbs and faced staggering losses of tax revenue, amongst other things. The challenges Bacon confronted were for the very survival of our city. His solutions combined not only smart planning and design, but community engagement. With a flourish for showmanship, perhaps most important, it was Bacon's shrewd understanding of the political machine, a very important skill, and how to operate it. That allowed him to make his visions, at least in part, a reality. So while not all of Bacon's ideas came to pass, many of them have shaped the city that we have today. A city of vast cultural and public amenities, with walkable neighborhoods, world-class parks, and the density required to support local businesses. Some of his major projects include Penn Center, Society Hill, and the Vine Street Expressway. While other urban thinkers had different visions for Philadelphia and may have disagreed with some of his proposals, few can claim that Bacon was not effective in shaping Philadelphia as we know it today. In memory of his bold vision and strong conviction, and his ability to effectively communicate with political powers, business interests, and the public, we honor him each year with our annual student and professional Edmund N. Bacon Urban Design Awards. And I'm very excited to welcome in Don Jones, who can talk about some of these exciting student projects.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Don Jones, and I'm a principal with Ewing Cole and also the co-chair of this august committee. This year, our student competition challenged university students around the world to address the PES refinery site in Southwest Philadelphia. This 1,400-acre site is as large as Center City, and as the world is changing, it's evolving out of a refinery of petrochemicals. Our hope was that we'd receive inspirational ideas which would help the surrounding community and key stakeholders think about the future of the site and its potential impact on the entire city of Philadelphia. We'd like to thank, first of all, the jurors who joined us to evaluate these competition entries. And they include Majora Carter, who was last year's awardee, Tom Dalfo, who is a senior vice president of the Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation and gave us lots of guidance about the future of the site. Jose Almiñana, who's a great landscape architect and principal with Ander Pogon. Alan Greenberger, FAIA, who's the head of the Drexel University Department of Architecture, Design, and Urbanism. And Matt Lister, who's a principal with Gale. All right, let me scroll up here. The ideas you'll see presented tonight by this year's winning teams address many of the topics that our organization is focused on. I'm pleased to welcome these bright minds to Philadelphia to share their thoughtful vision with you. Once each winning team is complete with their presentation, we'll present the awards to the winning students. This year's second runner-up was a project called Community Institutes and Community Institutes. The following students from Leeds Beckett University, a stalwart entered group that enters this competition every year. The group included Emily Andrews, Junaida Wan, Kevin Dawson, Cameron Hobson, Paige Jones, Grace Kelly, Kate Kilmister, Abraham Lar, Mohammed Shah, Luke Singleton, Crystal Smiley, Callum Suttle, and Charlotte Whittles. The jury made the following comments about this project. This proposal is less about physical outcome and more about how to get there. It is fraught with practical problems, but it represents a very noble and unconventional idea of how communities can form in a democracy to solve intractable problems. De Tocqueville would have found this proposal to be very American. We thought that the recognition that an undertaking is significant as the development of the refinery will be as much about public policy as physical planning is a very thoughtful approach. What's so powerful and interesting about this project is that it would seem to enhance and add to any ultimate space designed to the site. It would tap into and leverage the existing social capital and human assets in and around the site. And with that, the students will present.
Hello everyone, my name is Paige. We wanted to thank you for selecting our entry as second runner-up. We are very excited to share our project with you today. We are 13 third-year undergraduate students from Leeds Beckett University's School of Architecture in the UK. Our project, Community Institutes, is a community-led proposition that uses individual institutions as catalysts for regenerative reconstruction, focusing on collaborations between local people and institutional organisations.
Emily, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Can you turn up your volume just a bit? There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Emily. Our proposal focuses on a number of existing resources and overlooked opportunities termed hidden gems. These hidden gems are our starting point, with the overall ambition to create bigger, more visible and shinier gems. Community Institute is driven by change and optimism. Next slide, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luke. As Fredette Macduff states, the problems we face as a society today cannot be solved by technology, but a transformation in social relations. The concept of institutes relates to Philadelphia's historical institutes like the Free Library of Philadelphia, created in 1881. The origins of the word institute can be traced back to the Latin word institutum, which means to build, create, raise, or educate.
Hello everyone, I'm Kate, and because of the social, environmental and economic complexity of the site, an institute is the appropriate form to support research and development, teaching and learning. When all 10 institutes are overlaid onto the site, a rich and varied approach to reanimating, reimagining and regenerating takes shape. Next slide, please.
Good evening, I'm Kevin. This slide shows the range and designs of the 10 community-led institutes which are located across the new urban plan.
Hello everyone, I'm Cameron. Together, the institutes create complementary micro-communities for Philadelphians to engage with. Each student worked on a specific institute of their own invention based on personal research. Next slide, please.
Just waiting for the slide to come.
You can't see
Hi,
it?
my name.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Callum. Multiple specialist urban design strategies comprise the wider regeneration plan. The first part of the 30-year, three-stage programme begins with the site's environmental remediation, followed by the introduction of the first institutes. New green infrastructure is proposed to connect the existing green space on either side of the site. The result is a green link running through the site until finally reaching the Delaware River. The development of the new affordable housing is proposed at walking distance from the community institutes, repairing the current void by continuing the surrounding urban fabric of Philadelphia.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte, and following the remediation of the Schuylkill River, new activities will take place, such as enhancing river traffic to transport goods as well as people to downtown Philadelphia. Finally, a cultural urban plan creates not just a cultural activity, but a way of navigating through the site based upon cultural promenade. Next slide, please.
The Institute of Environmental Remediation is the first institute and responsible for the site's decontamination using phytoremediators. This is a process of using plants to naturally remove pollution. The institute begins in an existing structure to oversee the remediation. Once complete, the institute's role will progress as a research institute and public museum of environmental remediation.
Most materials within the site will be recycled and repurposed at the Institute of Material Recycling. It will be used as construction material for the many other community institutes. Next slide, please.
The South Philly Institute for Music and Culture transforms existing infrastructure into an adaptable event space that act as cultural nodes, visually orientating the townscape of the site.
The Institute for Urban Play promotes the role and inclusion of young people, including a role in the governance of the site. Built around the existing industrial infrastructure, the Playscape will provide a space for the young children of Philadelphia to explore, create, and learn through play.
Hello everyone, I'm Crystal Smiley. The Institute for Racial and Environmental Reconciliation focuses on environmental racism and helps to improve and develop the community's understanding of the issues on inequality and the environment. Next slide, please.
The Institute for Sustainable Transportation and Green Infrastructure enhances existing transport connections such as rail and water to develop integrated connections with the city. The network encourages the use of public transport as part of a comprehensive multimodal strategy.
The Institute for Community Governance is where the communities and experts from all the institutes gather to plan and debate the project's development, finance, and governance. The building symbolises the collective process, and it is a new democratic town hall which is open to all citizens of Philadelphia. Next slide.
Hi, I'm Grace. Self-sufficient affordable living is a response to the lack of affordable housing in the area for students, graduates, and the local community.
The Institute for Floating Communities is responsible for the generation of the Schuylkill River, including a new promenade used for flood defences.
Hello, I'm Ibrahim. The Institute for Biofuels replaces the refinery with a range of biofuel and solar production. It is calculated that enough energy will be produced to power 3,500 homes, moving Philadelphia rapidly towards a green economy. Next slide, please.
Our design is a challenge to traditional developer-led master plans that are no longer sustainable. This is led by the partnership of local communities and the city's institutions.
On behalf of the team, myself, Crystal, Grace, Luke, Charlotte, Paige, Ibrahim, Junaid, Hussein, Callum, Cameron, Emily, Kate, and Kevin would like to say a huge thank you for this recognition. Thank you.
I told you it was good. So next, our first runner-up is an individual student from Temple University, Sam Emery, actually one of my former students at Drexel, so we're very proud to have him. His project was called Harvest, Enrich, Grow. Some jury comments were the following. On a site whose soil is thoroughly polluted and in need of remediation, this proposal envisions just the opposite: clean soil manufacturing, recycling, wetlands, and reforestation. It's a powerful vision. Sam's proposal presents a hopeful view of the potential of the huge site and recognizes that planning for a sustainable future for underutilized industrial sites is very necessary. Take it away, Sam.
Great. Thank you, Don. Hello, my name is Sam Emery, and I'm grateful to be here to present my work tonight. I wanted to take a moment up top to acknowledge my studio professors at Temple, Andrew Hayes and Donna Schumpert, for all of the guidance that they provided on this project. My master plan, Harvest, Enrich, Grow, proposes redeveloping the Philadelphia Energy Solutions Refinery with a focus on 3 restorative systems: materials recovery, soil creation, and ecological restoration. Next slide. The site has played host to a complex web of extractive systems for the last 150 years, and the tangled infrastructure of those systems remains. The closure of the refinery represents an important opportunity for healing. What we build on this site should not only do less harm than what was previously here, it should function restoratively. Instead of demolishing and landfilling what exists outright, for instance, we can apply a materials recovery mentality to remediate and reuse structures and materials on site. One such material could be dirt. Next slide. Soil quality has been falling consistently over the last century, especially in urban areas, and this site is certainly no exception. That said, dirt from the site and others can be recovered. Washing, remediation, and enrichment through the addition of mycelium, microbes, compost, gravel, and sand can transform dirt into soil. And soil is the foundation of all life. It can be used as the basis for green infrastructure and ecological plantings, both on the refinery site and around the rest of Philadelphia. Next slide. Overall, the master plan proposes a mix of light industrial uses interwoven with ecological restoration and public recreation. Dirt is recovered from the areas of the site which are restored to historic marsh levels. Over time, connections to adjacent parks and neighborhoods are strengthened, and the public is invited back to the river. At the center of the site is the recycling park, which is composed of 5 main program elements. Next slide. Each element features the project's restorative systems: materials recovery, soil creation, and ecological restoration. First is the processing point. Soil feedstocks arrive on site here, and the municipal recyclables are tipped from low-emission barges onto a floating platform, which ensures the facility's resilience against projected sea level rise scenarios. An elevated recreational trail built on existing pipe racks passes through the facility, providing public amenities and allowing for review into the recycling process. Next slide. The Fill Farm is designed to be a novel facility for the creation of custom soil mixes. Applying a messy systems orderly frames approach, a matrix of containers interprets the soil creation process. Phytoremediation plots allow soil planted with species which uptake toxins to recover over time. Soil ingredients are combined to specification, and conveyors built from existing site elements transport bulk materials around the farm. Public access is provided via elevated trails, which connects to an existing flare stack, repurposed into an observation tower. Next slide. The Soil and Garden Center is the place where residents of Philadelphia will meet their home gardening needs. Easily accessible off 26th Street and constructed around recycled and remediated tanks, the center features a nursery, community garden, and vertical farm, as well as a warehouse space for flea markets and similar circular economic uses. Materials recycled from the site are featured as structural elements and facade components on the building. Next slide. Further in the future and after additional remediation, the systems school will build long-term community investment in restorative systems. Students can engage with and learn from the natural and cultural processes that are featured on the site. Classrooms at the school are wrapped around a courtyard created from a recycled storage tank, which contains an outdoor classroom and a woodland walking path. An adjacent building housing soil research facilities connects the school to the fill farm. Next slide. And lastly, the reforest will showcase the reintroduction of natural systems onto the long disturbed site. Built around the repurposed remains of 5 storage tanks, which become open glades, biota-rich soil created at the fill farm jumpstarts the new plantings in this urban forest park. Next slide. Public access by elevated trail brings citizens eye to eye with the changing tree canopy as the ground below them heals over time. The forest will continue creating healthy soil naturally, supporting plants which provide habitat, beauty, and importantly, clean air for the surrounding Philadelphian communities. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Good job. Nice to see you. And now the first place winner this year goes to Farming Nature, Framing Future. This group is from the University of Pennsylvania. My graduate degree comes from there, so I'm very proud of them. And the team consisted of Shaemun Chiu, Junwon Kim, Hee Young Shin, and Nuasha Wang. Sorry for torturing your name there. The comments came from the jury were among these. This is a sophisticated and well-conceived design that seeks to redevelop and reintegrate much of the site with the city grid, while at the same time giving back at-risk riverside land to open space and wetlands. It also recognizes the need for new transit connections to make the area viable as a place to live and work. And for us, this project stood out as a comprehensive vision for the future of the refinery, capitalizing on the existing rail infrastructure and adding transit connections throughout the site, concentrating development on the most buildable areas and letting those areas susceptible to sea level rise to evolve naturally.
All right. All right, sorry. All right. Hold on 1 second, folks. Sorry. Young, you've got it. There he is. Okay. Sorry. All right. Everybody should be a co-host now. We got everybody? Sorry. Okay, you can start.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us today. And we are a Farming Nature, Framing Future team. Our team members are Hee-jung, Shawan, Nusha, and I'm Junon from University of Pennsylvania. We represent the future face of the refiner site. Next slide, please. Philadelphia has been reshaped by many urban agencies to recover the post-industrial site as a culture hub, both for human and ecology. Among them, the former 1,300 acres of refinery site along the Schuylkill River is a precious opportunity to demonstrate the urban life of next generation in Philadelphia. Next slide, please. Here we identify 3 previous slide, please. Yeah. Here we identify 3 major issues. The first, the tension between industry and health. The second, the pollution of the Schuylkill River. And last, the food insecurity of the future. According to the Feel It Right, which led the Right to Breast campaign, participants living near the refinery experienced much higher rates of asthma compared to the country. This health and environmental issue is conflicting with the workers who lost high-paying jobs from the refinery. And second, according to the news from Y, a worker at the PES refinery tell that many times the untreated oil and wastewater leak to the liver. The last, from the research of the policy lab, the neighborhood near the refinery site are highly vulnerable to food insecurity. Now Hui-jung will talk about the main theme.
So based on the issues we discovered, we are picturing the future of our site with following programs. So number one, biotech research hub that can boost citywide economy. And number two, urban farming system that can bring food equity and create job opportunity. And number three, wetland and waterfront park that can remediate the environment as well as the community health. Next slide. So we are visioning that in 2070, the site will be a vigorous and healthy urban center that serves the surrounding neighborhoods while making Philadelphia a resilient city. So the vision includes the hub of the innovative industry with more than 12,000 new jobs, healthier neighborhood with indie farm system, accessible new urban center with mixed use development, and wetland and waterfront park dealing with pollution and future climate change. Next slide. Then here are the 4 strategies. First, the site will be integrated into a large food industry network, including biotech research, production, and distribution. Next, we're enhancing the connectivity with South and Southwest Philadelphia and surrounding neighborhoods with road networks development. Next, we're proposing 3 different types of green system: recreational, ecological, and productive landscape. And finally, for transit development, we're building a new BRT system and the 3rd metro system of the city. Now I'll pass to Neosha and she'll talk about the site plan and indie farm system.
The BioHub takes position, next slide, please. Yeah, the BioHub takes position in the north of the site and expands the space of existing industrial buildings. Arterial streets with BRT systems are developed to enhance the accessibility to the commercial corridors and the community. Next. And waterfront park would complete the green corridor along the rivers, solve the lack of accessibility and recreation opportunities to the waterfront, and mitigate flooding risk. So with the advancement of biotechnology, we are proposing a community-based food sharing system called Indie Farm. This downsized version of the vertical farm is supported by the government and operated by the community organization. Next slide, please. Here is the distribution of the Indie Farm system. The products could be stored in large amounts in factories, on easily accessed main streets, or on neighborhood streets where specific food could be supplied to certain residents. So Indie Farm improves local consumers' accessibility to fresh products, leads community economy and stewardship, and provides a new streetscape to the neighborhood. And now Xiaoan will talk about the project phase.
Next slide, please. We aim to set the project into 3 phases. In the first 10 years, it's all about preparing for future changes on site in advance. In the second phase, the site will become more accessible and starting to integrate with existing neighborhoods. Wetland will also become a part of city's ecological network. Lastly, in phase 3, using the strength of biotechnology and logistic industry, the site will become a new food industrial hub that not only boosts the city's economy, but also solve the issues of food insecurity. More mixed-use, mixed-income developments and transit developments will also be stimulated in this phase. Next slide, please. Besides taking actions in cleaning up the site as the short-term goal, we think it's also important to improve surrounding neighborhoods, such as Grace Ferry and Forgotten Bottom at the north, in terms of physical and social infrastructures. Phase 1 is also the period to invest more in biotech industry to lay the good foundation for future challenges. Next slide, please. Philadelphia is in a stage of seeking solutions for the side effect of the industrial developments, and we think the refinery site is a precious opportunity to demonstrate the urban life of the next generation. By identifying Philadelphia's strengths and issues, the site is potential to become a vigorous and healthy urban center in the future. This is the end of our presentation, and it's our great honor to give a presentation tonight. Thank you.
Well, that was excellent. And I think you can see why we chose and our jurors chose this project to be the winner. So congratulations to the winning teams. We wish we could be here in person to deliver your certificates and awards and shake your hands, but that's not what we do these days. Those will be mailed to you. We are extremely grateful for the time and effort you put into this project and to all the students who shared their innovative ideas on addressing the complicated and multiple issues facing the PES refinery site. One of the most important aspects of this project that we weren't able to translate to the virtual realm is to being able to successfully display the boards for each of these projects like we would if we were at the Center for Architecture Design right now. So this fall at Cherry Street Pier during Design Philadelphia, all of the submissions and the winning team's boards will be on display. So mark your calendars for October 6th to 17th this fall for the Design Philadelphia exhibition of this year's Bacon submissions and winners. And I'm now honored to welcome back Bacon Committee Co-Chair Nate Hommel to introduce our 2021 Edmund and Bacon Urban Design Award winner. Take it away.
Thanks all. So really, thank you, Don, especially thank you to the students. That was amazing. I think those, yeah, to echo Don's comments, that is exactly why we selected those. There's so much excitement. But to talk about our main speaker tonight is the more important thing for us right now. So Dr. Mindy Thompson-Fullilove is a renowned social psychiatrist who explores the ties between the environment and mental health. Her research pays particular attention to the mental health effects of violence, segregation, urban renewal, and toxins, specifically in urban communities. She was selected for the Ed Bacon Urban Design Award because of her focus on environmental justice, calling attention to the impacts industrial development has on poor and minority communities in particular. Her work mirrors the theme of this year's student competition, reimagining the Philadelphia Energy Solutions refinery site in a way that benefits all Philadelphians, but mostly benefits the surrounding neighborhoods who have lived with the effects of this site for decades. Who better to have think about these things than someone who is referred to by the New York Times as the town shrink. She's a professor of urban policy and health at the New School in New York City, and the author of 7 books, including her most recent, Main Street, How City's Heart Connect Us All. Excuse me. I'm honored tonight to introduce the inspiration behind these projects. Please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2020 Edmund N. Bacon Award, Urban Design Award, Dr. Mindy Fullilove.
Hi, everybody. You know, it's kind of hard to dress up on Zoom, but you know, if this was an AIA party, everybody would be wearing their medals. So I put on my medal from when I served on the Strategic Council. I was a public director of the American Institute of Architects and on the board and then on the Strategic Council. This is my medal, so I'm wearing my medal to dress up. And thank you so much for this award. It's a great honor. And I look forward to sharing some remarks with you. And I think I'm able to share my screen, and I will do that. So yeah, I just wanted to take as this topic, a broken society meets crisis, and ask the question, what next? And I'm as was mentioned, a social psychiatrist. So social psychiatrists study the ways in which the structure of society creates mental health. How does structure do it? And so in this moment, what's very clear is that there is agreement that we are in profound crisis. The Poor People's Campaign, which is the premier civil rights campaign in this moment, has pointed out there are 5 interlocking injustices: racism, poverty, the war economy, ecological devastation, and distorted morality. And President Biden, in his inaugural address, said that we have 6 crises: the COVID pandemic, climate change, growing inequality, racism, America's global standing, and the attack on truth and democracy. So that is quite a list. But I would like to add something to the list, kind of like those late night people who are selling you things. They say, wait, there's more, which they mean to be good. But I want to say that actually the underlying fabric of society is torn. And not only is it shattered into pieces, but the pieces are angry with each other and don't trust each other and don't want to get back together. And this comes from decades of all kinds of the playing out of these underlying injustices. There was a new report released by Lancet, which is the top medical journal in England, on sort of the state of America after the Trump administration. Extremely damning report, documenting all the ways in which our society has been torn apart over what they talked about 4 years of the Trump administration, but really then 40 years of neoliberal policies, beginning with President Reagan, and 400 years of inequality, beginning with the first landing of Africans at Jamestown in 1619. So that is where we are today in this state, in this shattered state. And societies that are shattered can't talk to each other to solve problems. So I am as was mentioned, an honorary member of the AIA. And so I am impressed by the statement of values, which includes equity and human rights, architecture that strengthens communities, sustainable future, protecting communities from climate change, economic opportunity, and investing in the future. But it does not adequately address the idea that we are a broken society. So it certainly addresses the crises, but not the connections. And so I thought, how might I address this? A concept that I learned from my architecture mentor, Michel Cantal-Dupart, who's an architect urbanist in France, is the aesthetics of equity, that we need to find equity beautiful. And so what do I think that means? In my work with Michel Cantal-Dupart, and also in talking to architects and urbanists around the United States and in other countries, I've identified these 9 elements of urban restoration, which are in 3 groups: align, create, connect. And I think that this whole middle section of create is very much where architects and other designers are in leadership, that they have ideas and they know things about space and how to fix space, how to work with space. Those beautiful student presentations are 3 marvelous examples of what architects, urban planners, and designers bring to the table. But they have to be connected with these other elements, which have to do with how are people going to think about this? Architects can't think in isolation. We all need to be in conversation, and we need to repair the connection so that we can be in that conversation. Sorry, I keep pressing the wrong thing and it keeps booping. I had the honor, my University of Orange urbanism colleagues and I worked with Interface Studio on a plan for Eastwick. And you may have noticed on the maps of the site that we were looking at that Eastwick was down in the southwest corner of the maps. And so the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority was looking at some parcels of land and thinking about redeveloping them. And we were, as University of Orange urbanism team, working on how do we do the community engagement. And we proposed using the Urban Alchemy framework of Align, Create, Connect to create working sessions with the community. So the first of these elements of urban restoration is that you have to keep the whole city in mind whenever you're doing a plan. What does the whole city mean? And we worked on that with Eastwick and saying, send a postcard to the city. And this is one, Eastwick needs equitable treatment. We have sinking streets, homes, and underground pipes. We have grass growing and roots disrupting our sidewalks and in our streets, which haven't been repaved in over 40 years. Help us fix this. Just a call that Philadelphia needed to think about Eastwick. And it was lovely to see the plans today that were thinking about Eastwick and how all the surrounding communities would get reconnected to the city and to the site. The second of these elements of urban restoration is that you have to find what you're for. That Stephen Covey says, we start with the end in mind. But in thinking about that, what are we for? We have to express our values. I had the opportunity in 1998, seems like a very long time ago now, of working with a community group in the Coalition for a Healthy Urban Habitat in the Hill District in Pittsburgh, doing a series of workshops. And one of the things we started off was with an exercise in what's in and what's out. And this is a way of expressing really how people wanted to see the things evolve. And it was very impressive in the Hill District to see how many of those, how much expressing values helped to move it in the right direction. In Eastwick, this list evolved of what people were for. And what was at the heart of it was how much people loved their neighborhood. Eastwick is one of the neighborhoods with a heavy burden of problems. They have a couple of Superfund sites. They have flooding from 3 directions, and are really, as you'll see, the way it's organized, the piece, it's really cut up into a lot of different pieces. They suffered from urban renewal, which was badly managed and never fixed. Yet people really loved that little part of land. It's right near a nature center, and people talk about they could see a fox walk by, and so they're very devoted to it, yet have such heavy burdens of sinking homes, for example. So, but this expression of love, that what they wanted was quality education, community mindedness, that the community would know each other. And so then these become things that are not just obscure visions, but really they help to shape, and architects and planners need to listen. This is what people want. How do we get there? So another version of what are we for? Healthy neighborhoods needs resources, an environment of respect, dignity, caring, sharing, and empathy. There's really very deeply moral people in that neighborhood. The next thing is make a mark. And it's interesting about make a mark that the idea is that once you have asserted your values, you need to express them in the world. The AIDS quilt was extraordinarily important moment in the struggle to get the government to take responsibility for the AIDS epidemic. As we have seen now with the disastrous management of the COVID epidemic, that this is, a government that just says, no, we're not going to take care of an epidemic, allows people to die. The Lancet report commented that huge number of the cases of people who've died have been unnecessary if we compare ourselves to the G6, other rich nations. And then other people said, yeah, but if you only look at the ones that actually did a good job, 97% of the deaths from COVID in the United States are unnecessary. This is horrific. So how do you begin to take that on? How do you begin to insist that a government be responsible for its citizens and do good public health? And so in that struggle around the AIDS epidemic, which was maybe even worse than this COVID pandemic, one of the things people did was make this AIDS quilt and lay it out in the mall for people to see. I've always thought of this as kind of parallel in the play when people said, bring out your dead, and they collected the bodies, took them off to mass graves, that this was how we showed our dead and got to see the size of the pandemic. So how do you make a mark? And so we asked people, make a mark. How would you show people? And then this graphic was created of all, various different groups working together had said, this is how we would show people. We'd put up a sign, welcome to Eastwick. Come to Eastwick, an original community where all are welcome. The next is unpuzzle the fractured space. Now we're moving into the space of create, where really spatial knowledge and design knowledge is so fundamentally important. This is, I always think of this as a drawing of a uterus with 2 ovaries, but it's not. It's a drawing of, in Perpignan, France, of the marginalization of housing projects, which was a project that Michel Cantal-Dupart was working on. And his job was to think, how could you connect the public housing to the city? And I had the opportunity to be there in the early stages before a lot of the building was done and to watch how it evolved. And it was extraordinary to see how it changed the space. This is a drawing by the Interface Studio team, looking at some of the things that made the space in Eastwick so problematic. You see for example, the red circles around all the dead ends. Then there were extremely wide streets, which made it difficult to walk around. There was lots of vacant land. So you're just always running into a barrier to get around the neighborhood. The blue elephants, by contrast, are some of the outstanding things in the neighborhood. So it's an extraordinarily complicated space, and then unpuzzling it became part of the design work. Here are some of the recommendations that the Interface Studio team made for how to begin to connect the whole neighborhood. The next two, unslum all neighborhoods and create meaningful places, are sort of how do we work with these assets? How do we take what Ken Tao called the elephants, the special things in the neighborhood, and connect them together and make them work for us? This is a photograph of one of his premier projects. He designed the urban space, the mise en scène, for a school for prison guards, which is in Agen in the south of France. And his thought was to use the techniques of André Lenôtre, which all the landscape architects will know well, to use a canal to create a perspective for the school and to connect it to the city. And I think it's particularly important to think about one of the design principles of beauty. So the aesthetics of equity. This is a school for prison guards. If this were in the United States, this would be in the ugliest possible building, in the ugliest possible neighborhood, on the ugliest possible street. But here he's created this beautiful garden, and it became a very important part because the guards not only go to school there, they come back for continuing education. And at one point they wanted the government wanted to change the school, and the guards union said, no, this is a very important part of our sanity. In thinking about similar things in the Eastwick site, Interface Studio team was thinking about what is the palette that we could use, and then talking to people about all the kinds of things that could happen on the sites that were being discussed, and then asking people, what do you prefer? Can we rank these? The teams that were discussing the PS, the refinery site, were talking about all the problems in the area. And you can see in this map, Eastwick is just surrounded by toxins. And so part of strengthening the region is, how do you begin to think about what's going on all around you and not just about a little parcel of land? Even if you are working on a parcel of land, you always have to think of that parcel of land as part of the ecosystem. And so how does that parcel of land create something that allows the whole region to flourish? And I think those issues were very well addressed in the presentations we heard, and my compliments to the students who worked on the projects. So one of the ways that we work on this problem at the University of Orange is that we talk about planning to stay, a concept we got from Bill Marsh and Catherine Brown, which says that when you're going to start to work on a site, you want to say to people, you want people to say to themselves and to say with you, we are planning to stay. And therefore we need to know what brought us here, and we need to know what do we need so that we'll be able to stay. And so in that spirit, questions were posed to the developers. How, sort of what brought you to Eastwick, and what do you need in your environment to be able to stay? So that the developers could start to think, what could we do that would be helpful to the people who want to stay here? People passionately want to stay in Eastwick. But man, with the amount of flooding and sea level rise that they are facing, with the Superfund sites that are only slowly being remediated, there are a lot of challenges, so they need help. The next element of urban restoration is to show solidarity with all life. There are and Eastwick is a site that has an extraordinary connection to nature. And I'm just going to focus on this community garden. The other is that there's actually a nature preserve there, which is an extraordinary place. This community garden is quite old, meaning it's about 50 years old, and it's under continuous cultivation. And so people have worked these plots and built little houses and made them their own. And so as we would walk around the community garden, there were these paths, these like little alleys all around the site, so that there was a coziness and a lived in spirit of this, where people were really in conversation with the land and with each other. And so this is a banana palm, which is the only banana palm I've seen in Philadelphia. There are all kinds of amazing things there that people were growing or just inserting into the landscape, like this elephant. So that there was a lot of surprises, a lot of tenderness, a lot of joy. And this is what showing solidarity with all life is about. It's about welcoming the spirit of the people. A lot of design wants to clean everything up and doesn't leave any space for people to express themselves. And as soon as people have expressed themselves and enriched something like a community garden, it starts to become valuable and other people want to take the land. So sort of how do you back off, leave it, treasure it, understand, go study it. This is where you want to go for information on how to show solidarity with all life. I think we went very fast, didn't we? So Rebel Gardens, love. That was one of my favorite signs there. Anybody who lives in Philadelphia, go to see these community gardens. They are worth studying. And so, you know, the question of that we learned last week, that green infrastructure, you know, can take things, opportunity zones. What do you think? What do you think? Given all this conversation about our values, given our conversation about what could be done, given what you love, given the elephants, what do you want to see? And so in that regard, people had a lot to say and a lot of visions for the future. The last part of the 9 is celebrate your accomplishments. As all of us know, change is hard and it is slow. And even in these presentations, we heard people saying, okay, here's our 30-year plan. So how do you keep working on something? And in the course of 30 years, there's going to be a lot of different presidents, a lot of different mayors. Are they going to really want to stay with the plan? Are they going to have a new idea? What's going to happen? You have to be able to stay with the work over decades. And one of the ways that you stay with the work, this is advice from social psychiatry, from people who've worked in war situations, advising people how to stay in a very difficult situation, is that you have to celebrate your accomplishments. This is a photo from the book release party for my book, Urban Alchemy, and which was held at Hill House in Pittsburgh. Ken Doino, who was a very important advisor to the whole project, is speaking, and then everybody who is involved is on the stage. And it was a great party and a sustaining event. So this issue of connect, that's where we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to connection. In the United States, 400 years of inequality, 40 years of policies that have disinvested in the public space and in public services, and then 4 years of an administration that was devoted to racism as a tool to divide and conquer, have left us disconnected from one another and unable to have the profound conversations and the urgent conversations that we need to have. And so this is the moment in which we find ourselves. I think architecture has the values and the skills and the tools and the genius to be of great help, but only if architecture takes seriously the tasks of align and connect. And Eastwick, we had a wonderful party at the end of the project, and we had this Align, Create, Connect cake. And I wanted to close just by saying that I was connected to Eastwick before I worked on this project, in that I met a man named David Jenkins, who was homeless, but he told me he'd actually been homeless all his life. And so he was one of the people who worked closely with me as I developed my book Root Shock, looking at what is it that happens to people when they lose their home. And so he had told me stories about Eastwick, and he had taken me to visit, and we spent time in the nature center together. So all of that deep story of this neighborhood was with me as we worked on this project. And we had a conference after 9/11, and David spoke at the conference, and he said, what I just wanted to say is think of the children. I was a child when I lost my community. I now have lived at the Times Square, which was a center for people who are homeless, for 7 years. I haven't lived anywhere for 7 years. I have always felt insecure, and I just kept moving. Please think how anxious the children are right now. We want to help them be as secure as they can. I think that we are in a deep moment of children's insecurity, of everyone's insecurity, and that figuring out how do we reknit our society? How do we create a conversation? How do we create the possibility of a conversation so that we can deal with climate change, we can deal with racism, we can deal with immoral behavior, we can end the injustices, and we can have a future that's livable for ourselves, for all the children, and for all the children in the generations to come. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, pretended tons of applause. Everybody's standing and yelling, and everybody's excited and laughing and smiling. So since we can't do that exactly, I just want to say on behalf of the Center for Architecture and Design, our board of directors, and the Ed Bacon Memorial Committee, I'm honored to present you with the 2021 Edmund and Bacon Urban Design Award. Pretend it's handing over.
I should say it's right there. So you can see it. Yeah, it's gracing my treasures table. Thank you so much for the beautiful vase and for the award. I really appreciate it. Deeply honored.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fullilove. That was really fantastic. Thank you to the students for your wonderful presentations. And I wanted to just one more time thank all of you for coming, and I wanted to thank our sponsors.
Every day, Centria serves architects and their building teams as a true partner in the design and construction of the world's most imaginative, longest lasting, and energy efficient buildings. With Centria on your team, you receive a complete range of value-added services to maximize your success. Of course, these services come with Centria's award-winning product portfolio. Explore Centria today and discover a true partner in the design and construction of remarkable buildings of tomorrow.
Sorry, that went a little bit faster than I thought. Thank you again to the Bacon. Thank you, Centria. Thank you again to the Bacon family, to Kieran Timberlake. Thank you so much for your support, to MIS Capital, Milburn Macris, to Langen Engineering, the Philadelphia Phillies, Bittenbender Construction, Ewing Cole, LKR, Pannoni, VSBA. Thank you so much. Scanapico, U3 Advisors. Thank you all. But thank you all so much for coming tonight. I'll stop my share. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Thank you again, Dr. Fullilove. Thank you to all the students from Leeds Beckett, Temple, and University of Pennsylvania. It was really great to work with you all. I was inspired by all your presentations, and it really was just a great night. So thank you all for being here. That's it. Have a good night. Thanks.